Senator Graham was really outsized in his impact, certainly around the world. People remember the big fights both internationally and at home. For us in South Carolina, he really was a force. He was renowned for his constituent service. When it came to focusing on South Carolinians and advancing the state, there was no one better than Senator Lindsey Graham at really delivering results for the people back home, whether it was a focus on the Port of Charleston, infrastructure in the upstate. He really had outsized influence, and he was a dear friend, a statesman for our state, and we do miss him. We already miss him.
Sadness in Washington today as American and world leaders are gathering to pay their respects to late South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham. The senator passed away suddenly on July 11th at the age of 71. So let's show you some live pictures here. The casket is going to be brought to the Capitol for a ceremony inside of the rotunda before a funeral service at the National Cathedral, where President Trump is expected to pay tribute to his friend. I want to bring in Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer. Senator, you served on the Senate Appropriations Committee with the late senator. We want to get your thoughts first and foremost on this day in Washington.
Well, it is a very sad day, but we're here also to celebrate Lindsey. That's extremely important that we do that. You know, he was a friend, dear colleague. My first 2 years on Senate Armed Services, he sat next to me on that committee. We served on appropriations. But I think his life needs to be remembered as one of service. He cared for his family, raised his sister. He served his state so well, as we just heard. And, of course, he served his country, both in the military and here in Congress. So he is a wonderful example of service, of commitment, of dedication, and we need to remember and celebrate his life.
And his life will be celebrated today in Washington throughout the day. So we're going to be watching, of course, that procession at the Capitol. I do want to get to some of the business of the day with you, Senator, just because, you know, President Trump is not letting up on his demand for the Save America Act. He told Leader Thune, keep senators in Washington to get it passed. And then he said even nuke the filibuster in order to do so. The president posted this on Truth Social. John Thune should not allow the U.S. Senate to leave town until it passes Save America, or far better still, terminates the filibuster, where Republicans can then quickly pass everything they ever dreamed of. He also said, quote, whichever party terminates the filibuster first will be the party that survives and thrives if the Democrats win this race. However, America will rapidly become nothing more than a third world nation, Senator. 8 of your Republican colleagues say they're supporting the proposed stay in Washington. You've previously shown support to keep that filibuster in place. So where do you stand now, in particular on the heels of these very strong words coming from President Trump?
Well, I'm a co-sponsor of the Save America Act. That's what we need to pass. I'm a co-sponsor. I voted for it. But let's be realistic on this. The votes are not there, and they aren't there to change the filibuster. It's my understanding the administration, the president himself, he's reached out to a number of my colleagues and heard that the votes aren't there. What we need to remember is if we become a majority body like the House, where it's shirts and skins, yes, we can pass everything, but that doesn't provide certainty to our country because, as the president said, when the Democrats become in the majority, they would vote to get rid of it. They did that before, but Senators Manchin and Sinema stopped that action because they understood the consequences. We would have tax policy going back and forth. We would have deep swings in social policy, whether it's over pro-life issues or gun control issues. We would just see so much stress in this country. The Senate needs to remain, I believe, that cooling place where we are able to represent our states, represent the diversity we see in our states, whether it's with our economies, our people, and be able to continue in providing sound policy that represents all the people in this country.
Yeah, and, you know, Senator Cornyn, Senator Thune as well have said that, you know, this could really backfire, the move on the filibuster in particular. So there's just a few legislative days here before the August recess for you and your colleagues. The House sent a wave of bills up to the Senate last week. Reconciliation 3.0, the congressional stock trading ban, there's a CR there, the NDAA. All of these bills have elements, however, of the Save America Act included. I know that you're a supporter of that, but there's also this push to confirm more nominees of the president's DNI nominee, Jay Clayton, Senator. What is your top priority right now? Is it funding, and what else?
Well, I want to make sure that we keep the government open. I know Chuck Schumer and the Democrats, they want to shut down. They want to shut down before the election so they can try and blame Republicans for that. Well, Republicans are working to keep this government open, and that includes funding. We need to work through an appropriations process where it's very transparent, where we're accountable. We need to look at the supplemental that the president sent over. That's extremely important. In appropriations, we had a hearing last week where Secretary Hegseth and General Kane came before the committee. They stressed the need, in order to meet the threats that this country faces, we need to fund our military. We need to make sure that we have the munitions necessary and to bolster that production for munitions. I think it's just unconscionable that Democrats didn't advance forward on the National Defense Authorization Act. You know, this takes care of our military men and women. You know, they turned their backs on our military men and women. They would not even move forward to get on the bill that we were able to get out of the Armed Services Committee. So we have a lot going on here that's going to directly impact the safety and security of this country. And number one is to make sure that we fund our national defense.
Certainly, certainly. Well, before you go, I do want to ask you about what's coming, and of course, that's the midterms. You know, there's a lot of concern out there now that's growing about a lack of enthusiasm among Republican voters as we move to November. There's this new analysis by Americans for Prosperity Action. It shows that 1 in 5 reliable Republican voters are at risk of either staying home or voting for Democrats in November. Many voters remain concerned about inflation, the economy, and we're seeing an uptick in voters that are now turning to these DSA candidates over on the Democratic side. So, you know, what do you say to these voters, especially as we're now learning that, you know, many Americans don't see the benefits to their own pocketbooks from the Big Beautiful Bill Act?
Well, there are a lot of benefits from the Big Beautiful Bill. And when you have a chance to talk to people back home, you know, they talk about the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, looking at the increased deductions they can get for child tax credits. But what I tell Nebraskans who are very focused on this election is that there's a stark difference between these parties now. And you mentioned that in your earlier segment there, Cheryl. When you talk about these Democrats, socialists, they want to abolish our borders. They want to provide amnesty to illegals that are in this country. They want to abolish funding for the Department of Defense. They want to demilitarize the police. I mean, it's everybody's worst nightmare on what this society would become. So I think people are starting to pay attention to that. They understand that. They have deep knowledge about what happens in countries that say they're Democrat socialists. Look at Cuba. Look at China. Look at Russia, who then moved into communism. And it's the elites in the history here that set up all these wish lists trying to get people to fall for it. Nebraskans and the people of this country are smarter than that, and Republicans are going to be out in force because they understand what's at stake and the need to keep the majorities.
All right, well, a lot to watch, 99 days to go. Senator Deb Fischer, it's always great to speak with you. Thank you for being with me this morning.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back, everybody.